Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. For me, one of my model making highlights of the year is going to the World War II weekend in Reading, Pennsylvania, that's held in June of every year. This past weekend, I was able to attend this year's show, and it was just a fantastic time. The weather cooperated for most of the day on Friday. And whether you build World War II era military aircraft or World War II armor and soft scan vehicles, or even World War II era figures, this event is super impressive. And it's really cool to not only see the warbirds, but to actually watch them fly, to hear them start up. I'm pretty sure this is the largest World War II era gathering of vehicles on the East Coast. And this is certainly worthy of being a bucket list event. And I highly recommend attending if you ever get the chance. In this video, I'll try to go through the different warbird types that were there and give several photos of the type and a few detail shots if I have them. Let's check out some of my aircraft highlights that were at the show. The first and largest aircraft that we'll look at in this video is the Boeing B-29 Superfortress. This was by far the most advanced four-engine bomber of World War II. There are still two examples of the B-29 that are flying today, and this one is Doc. Let's take a quick look as it comes into land. The next aircraft we'll look at is Panchito. Panchito is a B-25 Mitchell. The Mitchell was a U.S.-produced medium bomber. It is a twin-engine design, and it has the distinctive twin vertical tail layout on it. The B-25 was known for its excellent flying characteristics, and it gave excellent service to the U.S. and its allies throughout the war. The B-25's most famous mission is the Doolittle Raid, where a handful of B-25s were launched from aircraft carriers in an attack on the Japanese mainland. Let's give a listen as Panchito starts up.
Like his mom died out and he was wearing a P-51.
Not like my buddy Carly when he starts it up.
Moving on to the transport aircraft, there were four of the C-47s at the show. The C-47 was one of the most prolific transport-type aircraft deployed during the war. It served the U.S. and its allies very well. Though it served in every theater of World War II, the C-47s gained notoriety for their role in D-Day, where they dropped lots of paratroopers behind enemy lines prior to the D-Day landings. Another aircraft that I was excited to see at the show was this Cessna T-50 Bobcat. The T-50 was an advanced multi-engine trainer. It was used to train bomber and transport pilots who were going on to fly the multi-engine machines. The nickname for the T-50 was the Bamboo Bomber. There were quite a few of the biplane trainer aircraft at the show as well. This is a lineup of the Stearman biplanes. In this photograph, you can see the detail on the prop and the engine on the Stearman. Another biplane trainer used by the Navy was the N3N. And it's interesting to note that the engine on the N3N is facing the opposite direction than the engine on the Stearman. This is a Ryan PT-22. Note the interesting cowling around the engine on this radial-engined aircraft. To my eye, the prettiest of the Ryan trainers at the show was this beautiful PT-20. Unlike the PT-22 with its radial engine, this one has an inline four-cylinder engine. It also has spatted landing gear. We can see in this picture that the landing gear was used as a structural member and that the wire bracing consists of flattened wires. I really like the color scheme on this aircraft as well. The highly polished aluminum on the fuselage and the yellow wings and the yellow tail really give this little trainer aircraft the appearance of a racer. Of course, no World War II airshow would be complete without a lineup of T6s, or S&Js as they were called in Navy service. This is a nice close-up of the T6 engine. You can also see some of the prop detail in this shot. Here we have a picture of a Navy S&J in the color scheme of the Atlantic Theater. In this photo, you can see the surface detail of the S&J wing. One thing to note is that the fabric-covered detail on the ailerons is only barely visible, even when viewed close up. Many of the model manufacturers overdo the detail on the fabric-covered surfaces on their kits. For me, one of the highlights at the show was this Messerschmitt Me-262 reproduction. This is the first time I've seen a flyable Me-262 at the show. In this photo, we can see the one thing that every model manufacturer that has produced an Me-262 in 1/48 scale has gotten wrong. As you can see in this view, the slats on the leading edge of the wing are open when the plane is on the ground in the resting position. Although the Me-262 had a higher top speed than any of its prop-driven adversaries, lack of fuel and unreliable engines really kept these from being the threat that they could have been during the war. Another aircraft that I was very excited to see at the show is this Focke-Wulf FW190. I actually watched this aircraft fly in and land, and that's the first time I've gotten to see an FW190 in the air. One thing to note, the engine on this aircraft is not the BMW 801 radial. Because of this, the prop and the cowling on this aircraft are not historically correct for a World War II FW190. Regardless, it was a real treat to get to see this one at the show. The most popular warbird fighter aircraft is the P-51 Mustang. Most of the Mustangs that you see at the shows are the D version, or the bubble top canopy version, and it was a real treat to get to see this early model Mustang at the show. I think this is a P-51C based on the canopy and the tail fillet, but I'm not 100% sure. This photograph shows two things that are often gotten wrong on models of the P-51. The first is that the wheel wells are open on the backside into the wing. You can see that in this photo. And the second thing is that the inner gear doors are usually in the closed position, and they only slowly descend over time as the aircraft sits on the ground and the hydraulic system loses pressure. You can see that these gear doors have started to slowly drop. I'm pretty sure that this aircraft was used in air races after the war. One of the coolest things about this plane was the fact that Jimmy Stewart actually flew this aircraft, and who doesn't love Jimmy Stewart, right? The other P-51 at the show was this D model. This one was giving rides at the show. Let's listen to it start up. One long-term project at the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum is this beautiful P-61 Black Widow. This plane was rescued from the jungles of New Guinea many years ago, and the restoration process has been ongoing. I'm really excited to see this aircraft finish, and it'd be awesome to see this one back in the air again. Besides the aircraft that were at the show, there were acres and acres of tents set up and encampments set up, representing the different countries that took part in the conflict. Each of the encampments was manned by reenactors, and it's really cool to walk through the different encampments and to talk to the reenactors about the weapons that were used, about the vehicles that were used, and about the equipment that was used during the conflict. There were also quite a few of the military vehicles at the show, and the best part is these are not just static displays. You could hear and see these vehicles driving around at the show. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think. If any of you out there have ever been able to make it to the World War II weekend at the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum in Reading, Pennsylvania, please let me know in the comment section below. Hopefully, you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, model on.
Let's not go up on this guy. thought that was a Hitler's car. See, like how he